So, Mark, why have you done this?
Because the public is interested in medical research, and actually a Mori poll in 2012 showed that they wanted to know more about research on animals. And in fact, I think they've been hearing a very one-sided story because the scientific community has, as you've heard, been intimidated in the past.
By how much will this reduce the number of animals being experimented upon?
That's a different question, but I mean the important point is to actually make clear why they're used, and you've seen a very good explanation. And the coalition commitment was to work towards reducing.
It won't reduce it by even one, will it?
But hang on a second, it's very important to dig underneath those numbers. And what's changed is that with the new techniques of genetic engineering, a lot of those numbers, which are counted as experiments, are quite simply breeding of mice. So you've actually got to look at what actually underlies the numbers.
Michelle Thew, do you count this a step in the right direction?
If this was genuine openness, we would welcome it. Sadly, I think this is propaganda dressed up as transparency.
Well, how do you say that?
Because if you look at what the Concordat is promising to deliver, it's tours from selected journalists, it's visits to schools, it's a statement on a website. Will we see what's actually happening to animals? Will we see brain surgery? Will we see dogs poisoned for pharmaceuticals? Will we see electrocution? I doubt it.
Those are rather emotive words, if I may say so.
That's the reality.
And actually, what the Concordat says is that as part of that transparency, people explain what the benefits and what the harms are. So there's a very clear commitment to describe the animal research very comprehensively.
I think there's a very clear commitment, which is shown in your own foreword to the Concordat, to explaining to the public why animal research is necessary. The industry is perfectly entitled to run a PR exercise to explain to the public why they use animals. What they're not entitled to do is dress this up as real openness. And if openness is what we want, then I call upon the research industry to back the government's proposals to remove blanket secrecy.
These ought to be some sort of tourist attraction.
Of course, I'm not suggesting it's to be a tourist
attraction. Well, how else would you
attraction.
regulate observation?
Well, the first thing that you can do is you can open up the licensing system. Currently now there's blanket secrecy in the UK, which Sir Mark knows very well. The government is consulting on removing that. The research industry is silent on that, and instead we have a PR exercise. It's simply not good enough.
But hang on a second. The consultation on Section 24, which started last week and will run 6 weeks. This is the confidentiality one. The favoured government position is that the things that will be maintained as confidential are the name, the place of the researcher and any intellectual property, but actually it would increase the openness in parallel with the Concordat. And what I would also say is that this is only part of the transparency. This is the most extensively regulated. The UK regulates its animal research better than anywhere else in the world.
Well, let's pick up those 2 points. The Concordat is not in parallel with that. What the government is proposing, we would support. If the government is saying, let's remove blanket secrecy, I support that. That is not what the Concordat is delivering. And secondly, yes, the numbers are on the rise, and we're seeing animals being used for a whole range of things, have nothing to do with medical discovery even. So the numbers are on the rise. We're not getting true transparency. When we actually go undercover into facilities, including Imperial College, where Sir Mark used to work, you actually find horrendous things happening. You find people saying in institutions, crumbs, if the Home Office were in here, we'd be screwed right now. We're not going to change any of that.
Well, I tell you what, I'd rather be born one of those pigs in that scientific establishment than an intensively farmed pig, wouldn't you?
I'm not here to defend intensive farming. What I'm here to talk about is whether the public gets access to what's actually happening to animals in laboratories, and this will not deliver it.
But no one is arguing against good regulation. No one is arguing in favour of bad practices, and they need to be stamped out whenever they occur. What we've got is a very well-regulated system, and now a commitment from researchers from industry, from academia, from all the funders of research, to be much more open. You're seeing pieces like this, and the one that Fergus Walsh did in the Animal House in Oxford not long ago, that you would have never seen before. This is transparency. It's giving both sides of the story.
Neither of those pieces, you know very well that neither of those pieces actually show the reality of what happens to an animal in an experiment, and that will not be shown to the public, because when it is shown to the public don't like it, and researchers are very aware of that.
Some of the numbers that are counted are simply mice breeding. There is no harm associated with that at all. You really have got to dig in and look under the numbers.
Some of
look
the
at
numbers
data.
that are counted is invasive brain research on primates.
Yep.
It's dogs being used to test drugs and poisoned to death. It's electrocution. It's forced swimming tests. Are we going to show that?
But to be clear about
I doubt it.
You're against all
Absolutely.
research on animals.
Absolutely.
However good it may be seen to be for the development of medicine for humans.
Absolutely.
You
and
are against it.
I'm against all animal research for two reasons: ethically and morally, and scientifically.
So, Mark, while you're here, I want to ask you one other question, and it's about Pfizer, of course.
I just thought you might, yes.
Yeah, go on. Is it good for British science to take over AstraZeneca by Pfizer?
The real issue is that, as you know, in a sense, we've just been talking about, British biomedical research is extraordinarily good. The UK record of developing drugs is extraordinarily good. So from a government perspective, what we really need to see is that that environment is used in the best way by the pharma industry, but we can't get involved in an individual takeover.
Well, you're elegantly sitting on the fence there.
I'm saying that actually what we must make absolutely sure of is that we do get the most of the huge investment there's been in British biomedical research.
Could it be damaging?
Anything could be damaging if it damaged the research base. That is absolutely right. We do not want to see a situation where we've got very strong medical research.
Do you believe the takeover could damage the scientific
well,
base?
the first thing is there hasn't been a formal takeover offer, and I think that the government will do everything it can to ensure that the medical research base in the UK is turned into benefit for all of us in terms of medicines, in terms of making the NHS better. So
many eminent scientists have spoken out against this possible takeover, haven't they?
Yes, but my job is to advise the government. I'm the government chief scientific advisor.
Well, you're a chap who knows his onions, aren't you?
Yes.
You're with, and
I'm extremely keen that the pharma base in the UK is as strong as it possibly can. It's a major part of our economy.
Will it be stronger under Pfizer?
I hope that it will be as strong as it possibly can with the best pharma companies in the world working here.
Okay, thank you.